So in chapter 23:13, as we are continuing, but woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! You are hypocrites, for you do the opposite of what you say. You say one thing and do another thing. And not only that, you shut up the kingdom of heaven against men by your wrong teachings, wrong presentations. You are misleading people, taking people on the wrong track. So the kingdom of heaven is against men. Why? For neither you go in yourselves, neither are you interested in entering the kingdom of heaven, that is to say, to attain to the God state, and at the same time, nor are you neither suffer you them that are entering to go in. Neither do you suffer you them that are trying to enter. You are not very happy about them, are not pleased with them, and at the same time you mislead them. So neither suffer you them that are entering to go in. So those who are aspiring to go in, also you put in, you not only are a little envious, not only are you obstructing their progress, you saw thereby you do not permit them also to enter in, to get into the kingdom of heaven by your misleading teachings, misleading statements. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you, and not only that, what else do you do? For you devour widows' houses. You, when widows leave their homes, when they pass away, you take over their houses, or houses meant for the helpless widows. You take them over. For you devour widows' houses. And we see that happening even today in many parts. And for a pretense, make long prayer. And it's a big pretense that you make a long prayer, a mumbling of words, over which you have very little faith. You just mumble words and recite many prayers, just to show people, just to exhibit yourself. And the pretense of making long prayer, the longer it is, the more it's unnecessary. Short prayer is the best, and the best prayer is a silent prayer, wherein all lie in silent communion with God. That is true prayers. While the prayers with words is a lot of noise. It's a lot of noise. Therefore you shall receive the greater damnation. So therefore you scribes, you priests, you shall receive the greater damnation. Of course, when you get to hell, there is no doubt about that. You shall find the best seats there. In hell, for whatever you have gone through, the best roasting you will get there. So for that you need an appropriate seat for that too, the best. Woe unto you, scribes, Pharisees and hypocrites, for you compass sea and land to make one proselyte. For you go to many parts of the world, compass sea and land, just only to make one proselyte, one person. One convert. And when he is made, when you have made a convert, you make him twofold more the child of hell than yourselves. And so when you have converted them, what do? You are, with your misleading teachings, you lead him to hell. That's rather intriguing. With your misleading teachings, you just show him that just as you are going, so in the same way, in the same direction, you also lead them to hell. And you make them to endure even more so. Then he says, woe unto you, you blind guides, which say, whoever shall swear by the temple, it is nothing. But whosoever shall swear by the gold of the temple, he is a debtor. 16. Woe unto you, you blind guides, which say, we who proclaim and say, whoever shall swear by the temple, it is nothing. Whoever swears by the temple, it's nothing. But whosoever shall swear by the gold of the temple, he is in debt. If you swear in the name of God, it's nothing. Right? But if you swear by your offerings, swear by the gold of the temple, by the offerings, then he is a debtor. The person has to now offer those which he has sown by his offerings. You fools and blind, for whether is greater the gold or the temple that sanctifieth the gold? Which is better? You fools and blind, which is greater, the gold or the temple that sanctifieth the gold? So you don't enforce. You don't care about when people swear by the name of God, but you are very much interested in people swearing in the name of the offerings, the gold and other ornaments and other food stuff, material things. So tell me, which is greater? Whether the temple which sanctifieth the gold or the gold? So it's a temple which is greater, and you don't care about that. 18. And whosoever shall swear by the altar, it's nothing. If a man goes to the altar and swears at the altar, but whosoever sweareth by the gift that is upon it, he is guilty. So the man who makes an offering, swearing by the gift that he will give, that is upon it, he is guilty if he does not offer it. If he does not offer it. So whosoever sweareth by the gift that is upon it, he is guilty. Supposing you offer something, because of your guilt, you want to offer something, while the man who swears by the altar has a private communion with God, and you say it's nothing. But when he swears by the gift that is upon the altar, then you say, yes, you are guilty of the crime. You fools and blind, for whether is greater the gift or the altar that sanctifieth the gift, which is greater? Is it the gift which gets sanctified by the altar? So which is greater? It's the altar that sanctifieth the gift. Whosoever therefore shall swear by the altar sweareth by it, and by all things thereon. Therefore, whosoever therefore shall swear by the altar, sweareth by it, and by all things thereon. And he sweareth by the altar, by God. Sweareth in the name of God. And whosoever shall swear by the temple, sweareth by it and by him that dwelleth therein. And whosoever sweareth by the temple, sweareth by it, by the temple, and by him that dwelleth in him therein. For there is one who dwelleth in the temple. So when he swears by the temple, he swears not only by the temple, by the one who dwelleth in it, namely God. And he that shall swear by heaven, sweareth by the throne of God, and by him that sitteth thereon. So whoever sweareth directly in the name of God, that is why quite often some people say, I swear by God. Right? It's a common expression given by some people. Very rarely people say nowadays that I swear by the church. But more often people say, I swear by in the name of God. So when you swear by in the name of God, you sweareth by the throne of God and by him that sitteth thereon in your judgment. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees and hypocrites, for you pay tithe of mint and anise and cumin. For you scribes, you give us tithe of mint and anise and cumin. These are my small spices, right? Spices. And have omitted the weightier matters. And what are the weightier matters? They are of law, weightier matters of the law. You have omitted that. And what are they? Judgment, justice, that is justice, mercy, compassion, and faith. You have omitted all that. You don't care about that. About justice, judgment, justice, mercy, compassion, and faith. And people offer things with faith. You don't worry about that. So the faith which a person offers something is more weightier than a thing which is offered without faith. Faith in God. So these ought to have been done and not to leave the other undone. Of course, these are more primary. To be just for judgment, to be just in your matters, to have compassion. These are more mighty. Because when people have come to you with problems and sins of error, and they want to do repentance over that, right? And with good faith, then the faith with which they come is more important. And if they are poor, you should have mercy on them and just accept a small offering. A small offering, that is called mercy. You don't insist on the man and tell him to give him something which is beyond his capacity. So this is mercy, compassion, and judgment too, justice. You must rightly judge, which you cannot do and you don't do too. According to the gravity of the situation, it has to be rightly judged. So judgment also you don't consider. All that you consider is the type of offering which comes in. Whether it is gold or precious metals or whatever it is. That's all that you are concerned of because you want it. You blind guides which train at a gnat and swallow a camel. When a person does a small error, you make a big issue out of it. But when a person does a big error, you just swallow it up, you absorb it. You absolve the person if the person is high and mighty. If the person is high and mighty, even if he has done a big error, you just swallow it up and say, oh, just a little thing is okay. Right? So woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you make clean the outside of the cup and of the platter, but within they are full of extortion and excess. O you Pharisees, scribes, for you and hypocrites, for you make clean the outside of the cup. So outside of the cup means you make yourself clean from the outside. Wear fine raiment, expensive clothing with heavy borders, with large borders, and you make a big show of your clothing. So you make yourself clean on the outside, spick and span, very clean, which is the outside of the cup. Clean the outside of the cup and of the platter or of the plate too. But within they are full of extortion and excess. But within you is full of extortion. You want to extort from people because of your greed. Because of your greed. You're full of greed. When a man has greed, he will never be satisfied with anything. So you are so dissatisfied, and whatever you see, you want it. That's greed. People not only have a greed for food, but for things which they see in front of them, they want to take it and grab it. And that is exactly what you are. You are so greedy that you extort things from people. And excess, and with your excesses. What are your excesses? Your self-indulgences. So this is what you do. You are greedy on one side, and then you have got self-indulgences with your sensuous life. So therefore, thou blind Pharisees, cleanse first that which is within the cup. So cleanse first that which is within the cup. So within the cup means the heart. Cleanse your heart first. Cup and platter. So cleanse your heart and cleanse your mind. And your mind, which gives expression to your heart. So cleanse these two. Then the outside of them may be clean also. And if you do that, the outside too will be automatically clean always. If your heart is clean and your mind is clean, you're always clean. You're always clean and pure. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you are like unto whited sepulchres. You are just like whited tombs. Tombs, they keep it always white. So whited sepulchres, which indeed appear beautiful outwards. It looks nice outward. But are within full, but inside the sepulchres, inside the tombs, are full of dead men's bones and of all uncleanliness. Within the tomb, it's not body you can think, only bones. Even the flesh is not. Only the bones and all uncleanliness is there inside the tomb. So there, but the outside of it is very beautifully painted in white. So this is not the case. This is not the thing. Even so, you also outwardly appear righteous unto men. So outwardly, you hypocrites, you appear to be righteous unto people, but within inwardly you are full of hypocrisy and iniquity. Iniquity is wickedness. You are full of wickedness from inside. So this is something very interesting. The priest, this is a worldwide phenomenon. That is why you find the priest living in grand luxury. And where grand luxury comes in, they live in palaces. They live in palaces, wherein they should be living in rags, in simple garments, in simple garments, and in a simple dwelling place, like what? Like a hut, or like a small cottage. But instead of it, they live in grand mansions, grand mansions and palaces. So what type of, and wear expensive robes, such an the robes are so expensive. So therefore he says, outwardly you appear righteous, but within you are full of hypocrisy and iniquity. And woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, because you build the tombs of the prophets. You build the tombs for prophets and garnish the sepulchres of the righteous. Sepulchre of the righteous. So you build the tombs of the prophets. For the prophets you build tombs. And for the righteous too. Why do you do that? When you have, he's going to tell you, you are hypocrites, because what have you done? You build tombs for them, but in the meantime you have killed them. After having killed them, to show that you are righteous, you build these tombs to show. So he's going to tell the next line. And say, if we had been in the days of our fathers, we would not have been partakers with them in the blood of the prophets. For many a prophet before was killed. And if we had been in the days of our fathers, so and you tell, oh, they were done by our previous people, by the previous priests who were there, in the days of our fathers. So in the days of your fathers and grandfathers and others who had gone through that, and they had killed. And now you say, oh, if we had been, we would have done that. If we had been there, we would not have done such a heinous crime. Or partakers of them with the blood of the prophets. We would not have done that. Wherefore you be witnesses unto yourself that you are the children of them which killeth the prophets, and you are the children and the grandchildren and the descendants of those who killed the prophets. So the blood runneth through you, the blood of murder. The blood of murder runneth through you. So fill you up then the measures of your father, and therefore whatever your fathers have done, it also flows into you too. That is why there is a famous statement. The sins of the fathers, sins of the fathers come to their children. The sins of the fathers. So this is what is mentioning here. The sins committed by the fathers cometh to the children. Right? And that is very true indeed. And here the sin of the fathers and grandfathers and great-grandfathers was the murder which they had committed. And these people inherit their position and power, and wealth. So therefore it comes unto them too. They also inherit it. As a good example of this is, when any father, physical father who has a family, any parent who is the man, the father, he makes money by inflicting pain and sorrow upon others. Pain and sorrow upon others. And then with that money and the wealth acquired by causing suffering, pain and sorrow. And by wrong means, by extortion, when a parent acquires money for his family, and then with that money or that wealth, he takes care of the children and nourishes them and feeds and nourishes them. So it was a blood-tainted wealth, blood-soaked money. With that, when he also, not only he gets the dose of it, but it is passed on to the children too, and the grandchildren, because they are all partakers of it. These are the hidden laws of karma. As for instance, so this is one part of it. The other is, when you inflict suffering and sorrow onto others and make your living, the sorrow with which they give you, that sorrow. So when you take that money from the person, inflicting sorrow upon the person, when you charge him an exorbitant amount, which that person cannot afford to give you, then you are not only taking his money, you are taking his sorrow also. When you do this to 100 people, so every time you are accumulating a drop of sorrow, and when you have done it for 100 people, you have accumulated a good glass full of sorrow. And this is being passed on to your family with whom you are feeding. So they too also become partakers of that sorrow, and that is why there is sorrow. This is a law of karma, universal law of karma. Universal law of karma. And people do not realize the implications of this, of wrongly acquired and tainted money. Money which is wrongly acquired and tainted money has got this implication. This is the unseen law of karma, which inexorably follows its course. Therefore it is said in the Bhagavad Gita that a good soul, a good child, who is going to be spiritual, will only be born in the home of a righteous man, of a good and a righteous man. A child who is going to be a future spiritual person, right? Such a child will only be born in a noble and righteous home, wherein the father and the mother are noble and righteous people. It is for this reason that not only Joseph, so Joseph was chosen to be the foster father of Jesus because he was a noble person, and the mother who was chosen to bear the child Jesus, she too is a noble soul indeed. Therefore she was specially chosen by God for this purpose. It is for this reason that Virgin Mary is revered all over the world. Because she was a noble soul who had the unique good fortune to mother the Messiah. And everybody in the world want good children to be born. It's a universal expectation of all people. But you can only have good children and noble children born in your home or in your family if you are noble and righteous. But this is the expectation of all parents, the father and the mother. But if they wish to have, if they are wicked in their ways and wrong in their ways, they will have children who are like that. Because they have to experience part of that wickedness. They have to partake of that wickedness. A good child will never be born there. Such a child will never be born there. So that is what he says. that you scribes and priests, who your ancestors, your forefathers and ancestors killed the great prophets and the noble souls, you have also inherited their character. You have inherited their character, and that character has come down to you. So you too are all in the hypocritical tradition, suffering the same fate. So, you serpents, you generation of vipers, how can you escape the damnation of hell? So that's interesting rather. Hell is being mentioned here. So in the scriptures, the two words heaven is also used repeatedly, and the word hell is also used repeatedly. So that means there is a place called heaven and there is a place called hell, wherein people have to go and come back. It's not a permanent hell. You go there for some time to reap the sins that you had acquired, and expired those sins in hell. And after that period is over, during that time there will be a lot of gnashing and weeping and crying and lamentation, and you will be specifically told, my dear chap, this is what you did. You'll be told of your crimes or your errors. Similarly, now you too also will have to suffer it out. For how long? If you have done it manifold, repeatedly you have to go through. Repeatedly. If you have done it once, if you have murdered once, you may have to go through it once. If you have committed 10 murders, 10 times over. And more intensive. So thus, you can't escape from this law of life, from this law. It's a universal law. There are no exceptions in this. Otherwise, if there are exceptions, things go wrong. There are no exceptions. You have to go through it. Yes, of course. There is a way you can absolve yourself before you get there. Before you arrive in that exalted place. You can do one thing. So God has given that concession also. What is that? Atonement. Atonement means to be at one with God. That is the only way by which your sins would be absolved by atonement at 1 month. So therefore, if perchance, if you were to repent with your heart, with all your heart, and with great depths of sorrow, and get into a state of atonement at 1 month, yes, then in due course, you will be absolved of your sins. So therefore he says, how can you escape the damnation of hell? How can you priest? It's out of the question as far as you are concerned. You are so hypocritical that you won't even consider this. Wherefore, behold, I say unto you prophets and wise men and scribes, and some of them you shall kill and crucify, and some of them shall you scourge in your synagogues, and persecute them from city to city. Wherefore, behold, I send unto you prophets. Prophets will come, and wise men and scribes, and men learned and doctored in the scriptures, they will also come. People who know the scriptures, who have been doctored into the scriptures, they will also come. But then what will you do? You will also similarly, some of them you shall kill, and crucify, and you shall kill and crucify. So many a Christian in the early years were crucified, were killed, scourged, tortured. The early Christians, soon after Christ, in many parts of the Roman Empire, even including Rome too, they suffered this fate. And some of the disciples of Jesus too had to undergo a lot of hardship. And so therefore, and later on, that practice continued even up to in the Middle Ages too. In the Middle Ages too, many people were burnt in the stake as heretics. So the tradition continues. The tradition continued on and on. And many of these people were holy people. Many holy people, even so after. Many of them who had become saints, Saints is a saint is one who is one with God, right? And all through human history, we find that even after the early Christian era, for thousands of years, unto this present 20th century, many a saint in the world had to undergo this fate of being burnt at the stake. They were scourged and killed in other forms. All this, not only did it transpire then, subsequently too, and some of them, and some of them were learned too. They were also who happened to be there, right? They were mystics and learned ones, you also who try to bring about some sort of good understanding into the minds and the hearts of the people. You similarly did that to them too. So you are the inheritors of the gruesome tradition which had been coming down for thousands of years. Before Christ it happened, after Christ also it was happening. So he says, so some of them you shall scourge in your synagogues and persecute them from city to city, and they have to run from city to city, they get persecuted. And it was so the case, even from Jesus too. He had to go from sometimes city to city because they were after him. He left certain towns and cities. So too also it happened to his followers, his disciples. So, and disciples, and on it goes. Whoever in the world tried to bring out the truth and the truth teachings, often the establishment became angry and did what they did. So, then he says, that upon you may come all the righteous blood shed upon the earth. So that upon you may come all the righteous blood shed upon the earth. It will come upon you, you priest. All the righteous blood which was shed. From that time onwards, from when? Jesus is giving two examples of that. From the blood of righteous Abel, that was the first beginning in the New Testament. So it was after the book of Genesis, then the Exodus. In the Exodus it is mentioned about Abel and how he was killed. The blood of the righteous Abel. A-B-E-L, Abel. And then at the end of the Old Testament, that's the beginning of the second book of the Old Testament, and the last book of the Old Testament deals with Zacharias, who was the son of Barachilas. So he was also whom you slew between the temple and the altar. So he was slain inside the temple, between the temple premises, in front of the altar. So thus, this is what you have been doing. So the blood of prophets, the blood of holy people, it is said that this is the greatest form of sin which anyone can acquire in the world. It is called Brahma Hatya. Brahma Hatya. Brahma Hatya means the one who knows and experiences God, a saint. Such a person is called a saint, a holy man. A holy man who is one with God, who has experienced his God nature. So it is said, Brahmavit Brahmaiva Bhavati. The knower of Brahman is verily Brahman itself. The one who knows God is verily God himself. And if perchance you were to kill such a person, that is the most heinous crime which any man or any group of people or any society can do in the world. The greatest sin which a group of people could commit. So upon these noble, saintly, righteous people. So therefore he says, verily I say unto you, all these things shall come upon this generation. So all these things what I am telling you shall come upon this generation. And it came about that because within 60 years, 60 AD, the Jerusalem was wiped off, along with the temple, totally wiped off. And it got wiped off time and again, not once but time and again. Oh Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou that killest the prophets, you consider yourself to be sacred, but in reality you killest the prophets, and stonest them which are sent unto thee, and you stone them which are sent unto you, because Jesus was stoned in the temple. When he declared and said, you are gods, they got angry, and they stoned him, and they would have stoned him to death. The only thing is, Jesus, because of his ability, quietly slipped out of the whole scene or disappeared from the scene. Otherwise, they would have finished him off. Which are sent unto thee. How often would I have gathered thy children together? How often? Time and again. I have brought my children together. The good ones. The holy children, I have brought them together time and again. But what do? You kill them. Even as a hen gathereth the chickens under her wings. I have tried to bring them together. I have tried to protect them together and bring them together. But you would not allow that to happen. You scatter them. With your bloodthirsty nature. Behold, your house is left unto you desolate. Because your house, this house of God, which is a temple, which is a synagogue, and your own homes too, will be made desolate. Will be made desolate. That transpired. For I say unto you, you shall not see me henceforth, till you shall say. Till you shall say. I tell you, henceforth, soon after, in a short time, you shall not see me henceforth. You shall not see me again. Till you shall say, till you say, blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord. Till you have the good sense, the goodness in nature, to declare unto the world, blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord. So I will only once again come back. When you feel and know and express, blessed is he, that you are awaiting his arrival. With all your heart and with all your feeling, when you yearn for him, and declare within yourself, blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord. And he will come to thee, to each one of thee, to each one of you. He will come into you, he will descend into you, he will enter into you. When you declare and feel each one of you, and acclaim that blessed is the Lord, blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord, then at that time I will come unto thee with the Christ consciousness, I shall enter into thee, I shall come unto thee. And this will be done only when you so loving, acclaim and receive me. So by blessed is he, blessed is the Lord. When you have this feeling within yourself, then only I will come. I will come into each and every one of you. This is the second coming of Christ within each and every one of you in your hearts. When you yearn and want me at that time, then I shall come unto you. Om Tat Sat.